great pleasure to welcome to What's Next, Dr. Alexia Cox, who is the Chief Learning Officer at MasterStart. Now, MasterStart prides itself on delivering innovative learning solutions to corporates that create a positive impact for the business and for the individual alike. This is a fantastic initiative. We need all the positivity we can in the country at the moment. It's wonderful to have you with us. How does this work? How would you describe what you guys do at MasterStart, and how do you go about achieving this positivity you talk about?
So I think the best way to think of us is we are an innovative edtech company that really prides itself on providing innovative learning solutions like you just mentioned, but there's a heart to it, there's a root to it, and making sure that we're developing skills within individuals that really help them grow and advance in their careers on the one hand. But on the other hand, it's also making sure that businesses are able to be sustainable. They've got the right people with the right skills in their workforce that are able to tackle the changes that are happening in the environment today. So really creating a robust number of skills within employees and, within our learners, and really making sure that we focus on developing them and giving them the best opportunity that we can possibly give them.
That's fantastic. It's so interesting because you guys, when MasterStart started off, you were a consumer-facing course provider, weren't you? And you were now you're focusing on business-facing B2B skills, and you've developed this training over the last few years. What kind of led this approach and this shift from consumer to B2B? Why did you guys do this?
So I think with any business, you always go back and you take a look at your strategy, you review it, you're taking a look at what's needed in the market, what do people actually want? And if we look at it from a supply and demand perspective, there is a demand for organizations, really investing in developing the skills of their employees, but also really taking a look at, organizations want skills faster. They want better skills. They want to have the skills developed online without taking people out of the workplace, in a face-to-face environment for an entire day. It's got to fit into the way organizations operate today in a hybrid and remote environment. But it's also got to work for the individual learner as well. It's got to fit into their lifestyle. It's got to be flexible. It's got to be applicable. They've got to be able to learn and apply straight away to their work environment. And that's what's really important to us. And so if we're taking a look at that and we're taking a look at the longevity of what we're offering, it's much more than just an event an employee or a learner goes to. It's actually cultivating and growing a learning culture within the organizations, supporting them in achieving that goal, and ultimately creating these really robust learning pathways that, our learners can go on and say, right, I've done this course. What's next for me? Where do I want to upskill myself next? What does my career look like? And that's what's really led that shift for us. It's been a very natural progression.
No, it's absolutely fascinating. And if you look at the corporate structures over the last decade, and especially over the last 5 years with this acceleration of digitization around us, it's really changing a lot of things. And you've got to upskill, you've got to adapt to these changes, and you've got to take it on and basically adapt, as I said earlier, to these changes because they're happening so fast. You guys at MasterStart speak a lot about the human connection, right? Now, can you explain how you're able to deliver on this while using technology, and especially now with the big buzzword and the explosion of AI around us? It's all over the place. And of course, I also want to ask you, what is your stance on AI? Do you see it having a place with learners, and is it part of their journey at MasterStart? Because without doubt, AI is impacting all of our lives.
100%. So that's a really big question, and I could probably talk on it for hours, but let me keep it short. I think there's often a misconception when people hear human connection. They're kind of like, let's throw more humans at the problem. The more people, the merrier, and let's solve it that way. But really, in an online learning environment, it is really important that we have the right person at the right time, offering the right solution to the learner. So it's really about the interaction that is there for the learner. It's connecting the learner to the right information at the right time when they as a learner need to absorb it. It's about connecting them to the right person with the right knowledge at that moment in time. So in our world, that's basically, we've got a coordinator, we've got a learner success coordinator that works on the back end, providing back end and technical support. We've got a coach that's really the champion and the cheerleader for the learner to work and progress their way through the course. And then we have our industry experts that really bring sound industry, relevant experience into the courses so that our learners are able to tap into not just theory, but actually what does that theory look like in practice? Because the two are really different. You never walk into any kind of meeting and say, today I'm going to apply this theory to this session, or, I now need to solve this problem or make a decision. Let me apply this theory to it. That's not how it works in the business world. It's not the way that we operate as humans, but it's also not the way that it works in reality. As we work in the environments that we're in, it's actually quite messy. If you think about it, all of a sudden you've got to make a decision here, you've got to ask a question here, you've got to solve another problem that might not be related and, come back to it. So, we're really making sure that our learners are able to interact with the right person at the right time so that they're able to develop these very workplace applicable skills that they're tangible and that they can apply into the workplace again. And that's where that human connection comes in. And that's what it means in the end of the day. Now, to answer your question on the AI, my stance on
the
AI,
elephant in the room, the elephant in the room.
Definitely. I get that question a lot. And the reality is it's not going anywhere, is it? I mean, that's a fact. And we have to accept the fact it's not going anywhere. And we have to start absorbing it into our personal life, into our work life. But we've got to make sure that we can do that with integrity. And we've got to make sure that we do it correctly. And we've also got to make sure that we use it in a way that makes us resilient and makes us adaptable, like you mentioned earlier. And so for me, I'm all for AI if we're using it the right way. We use it in our environments. We can develop faster, we can develop more creatively, but it will never replace the human connection that we bring to the table. And that's what we have to remember, is that as long as we're using AI to enable us to achieve certain goals, we have to remember that we cannot lose that human connection at the end of the day, because even behind AI, there's person. And when we're working in our working environments, we're working also with people, and we're solving problems and solutions for people within their working environments. And so, it's not going anywhere. I think we need to embrace it. It's important we embrace it, but we must do it with integrity. And we cannot forget the importance of the human in this and making sure we stay connected with the human aspect of life and working life.
That's such a great explanation. And I guess it's almost like it's augmenting what we do every day. It's just, we need to see it as a tool, and it's helping us achieve more on our day-to-day lives. Now, as you service businesses and business specifically with learning solutions, what is your approach when it comes to identifying those gaps for new skills development programs? Because I guess with all this technology and all these changes around us, there are new skills that we need to adapt and new skills that we need to learn. How do you guys identify those gaps?
So we go through a really robust process, but our starting point is very simple. We have a portfolio, and our portfolio isn't quantity. It's about quality of our portfolio. So it's taking a look at what's currently in our portfolio. How can we enhance our portfolio? And in certain aspects, what it could be is that we actually just need to integrate a theme into an existing course to keep it relevant, to make it applicable and adjust it. But the basic principles behind it, the course is still the same. So that's one aspect that we look at. But another aspect also is, yes, we've got the quality. Number two, how does it fit into an overall learning pathway that services a sector? So what does that learning pathway look like? Where does this course fit into a learning pathway? Does it need to be a new learning pathway that we need to consider for a learner? How does that really help us make sure that our organizations that we work with are sustainable, that we're supporting them in building a learning culture, but also enabling the learner to grow and advance in their career? Because if we don't do that, then there's obviously no point in actually developing a set of skills that's not relevant to anybody. And then there's another element where we're always researching, we're always taking a look at, what's happening globally, right? What's happening globally across the world? Is that relevant to us in South Africa at this moment in time? Will it be relevant to us in South Africa in the short term, or will it be relevant to us in South Africa in the long term? So ultimately, we have a really robust process that takes in and then sort of dissects it and really carefully allocates what types of courses we want to build and what types of skills we want to develop along with that type of course topic, for example, and how that fits into a global market, into a local market, but also into the sectors that we service.
That's so interesting. And of course, we know there are certain skills where there's a massive shortage, and customers and clients are really struggling to fill those particular positions. But future skills, relevant skills, or skills in the here and now, can we keep calling these skills future skills, for example? How do you define future skills if you had to perhaps give it a new name? What would that definition be? Is there such a thing?
I might be rocking the boat here a bit, and I hope I don't rub anybody up the wrong way when I answer this. But, for me, they're just skills. At the end of the day, I read an article earlier this week and it said, future skills for 2024. And my reaction to that was, well, we're already in 2024. Aren't we a bit late to call it future skills? The here and now. And the reality also is when we're thinking about skills, what is a future skill for one, down the line? We can get absorbed with the end game and where we're wanting to go. But we also have to be really honest with ourselves, and organizations have to be honest with themselves as well, as to say, where actually am I? Where's my organization in its life cycle? What are the skills that I need to develop as an organization within my employees to achieve what I need to achieve? And the reality is that, what is a relevant skill for one organization is a traditional skill for another organization, which might be a future skill for another organization at the end of the day. And so for me, it is just making sure that we've got the right skills, we've got relevant skills that we are just continuously building and enhancing, making sure that we're just tapping into that. So I'd probably just drop future and just call it skills. Dead boring, I know, but just skills.
Yeah, I guess adaptions, because if you looked at the turn of the last century and even midway through the last century, we would have had future skills as well, right? When first big computing was announced and when computers came live at the turn of the last century, well, kind of towards the end of the 40s, etc. But at the end of the day, what I'm saying is that we've always had future skills in our environment. It's just, we adapt to those future skills, and they're different skills that we need. So I like the way you think about that. But when you look ahead for the rest of 2024, and the needs and the changes, what are those needs, and what are you looking to address from a program development perspective throughout this year?
So I think there's probably two really important points I'd like to make here. And I think that first is making sure that, we have themes. Like I mentioned earlier, we have got some really strong themes that we want to build into our courses, our new courses, our existing courses. AI, for example, it's topical. We can't get away from it. We can't hide from it. Does it make sense to build just an AI course today? That's a question mark, that remains. But the theme and the concept of AI is something that must be strongly ingrained in how we think and how we operate. Even from a human perspective, we have to understand that we operate in a digital environment, and it's only going to get faster. It's only going to become newer and more technical. And how do we make sure that our workforce is actually operating as a digital person, that they're really being digital. So that's another angle and aspect that is really important for us to integrate across our courses and also across our experience. And I think also what I'd like to, also add is, we can't forget, sustainability at the end of the day,
Yes.
environmental, the social, the governance aspects, they all feed into it. We're all living on this planet now, and we want this planet to remain, and we want this planet to last. And with that, we want to make sure we're creating equal opportunity for our employees, throughout. But we also need to make sure we've got the governance structures that allow us to build a holistic but very sustainable working environment for organizations to grow so our people can grow. And so those are some really important things that we've started, so we will be and continue adding and really developing out. But also on top of it, we've got some great courses, in the pipeline, strategic business consulting, something that I think everybody should be going on in this, this day and age. There's advanced risk. We've got strategic and purpose-driven leadership. And there's some really, really exciting, courses that are going to be coming up. So, for everybody out there, stay tuned, follow us and see what's in that pipeline.
Well, exciting times. There's a lot of competition out there in every industry, and I imagine yours is no different. And there are other skills development providers out there. What makes MasterStart different from the other skills development providers?
I think it's quite simple. I think it really comes into the fact that we care. We really care about our clients. So we care about the service that we're giving our clients from the moment that we connect with them all the way through, to the end of any learning experience, and continually. It's not just a one-stop shop. I mentioned earlier that learning isn't an event for us. It's a learning pathway. It's the continuous development. So we really care about our clients. We care about our clients' employees, that they are our learners. So we care about the experience that we bring to the table. We understand that each and every single learner is unique. They bring a different experience into it. They come from different cultural backgrounds. They have a different perception, and that shapes you and allows you to be creative and innovative. And what really makes us different on top of that is that, that combined with, how we care for our clients, how we care for our learners, and how we develop our courses to really develop skills, and not just a process or a theory, but really the skills that sit behind it, that feed into building and painting a bigger picture for our learner, is really what sits at the heart of us. And what allows us to do that is we care about our people. We care about our MasterStars. They're absolutely phenomenal. And we care about we care about them, who they are as people, who they are as individuals. And that's what's really important. And I think that's what makes us unique. That combined with our experience, our platform, and all the technical aspects that go along with it. But it is really the fact that we care holistically in what we're doing.
So interesting. Alexia, what's next for MasterStart? I mean, you guys are certainly evolving. You're evolving with what's happening around us. There's, digitization, and there's massive changes. Let's be honest, on a corporate level. What's next for MasterStart? What are you guys up to?
Well, obviously, always growing our portfolio. That's key. A quality portfolio that really obviously meets the skills demand that is out there. That's number one. We've introduced a really great coaching model. Our coaches are absolutely phenomenal, and they're really going to be these champions for our learners. So we will be enhancing that experience even further. We're welcoming new industry experts into the world of online learning, and so that's going to be fantastic. So really building out that facilitation with our industry experts, really bringing that workplace applicable learning to the forefront. Forget about the theory, everyone. It's all about the workplace element. and really launching new learning pathways, because that's what it is at the end of the day. Learning isn't an event. It is really a pathway. It's continuous, and really contributing and innovating the world of online learning is what we've got in store this year. So big year.
That's fascinating. Alexia, I'm sure that you guys get some interesting insights because you deal with different corporates and you see different things all the time. Is there a particular skill that you see as the big gap consistently amongst most corporates, or is it just general gaps in certain skills? Or is there one skill that particularly stands out through your experience?
So I think that's a really hard question. I think you're opening a can of worms there. And I think the reality is that we have to think of it at different levels. So there will always be, I think there will always be a need to develop a number of functional skills like project management, risk, business and systems analysis. They really sit at the root of any operating business. And those are functional skills that, depending where an organization is and what skills it needs to develop, and we'll tap into that. But that's always balanced with leadership and management sets of skills, right? So it's almost like a weighing scale. So you've got your functional skills, but you've also got your leadership and management skills that you've also really need to develop and focus on. And then obviously there's also the integration of the two as well, your functional versus your leadership and your management, and what that looks like. So if I would say, is there one? There isn't one that stands out, but I do really think that what we can't lose ultimately is the focus on the human, is the focus on being digital in our working environments, and really marrying the functional and the leadership and management and creating a balance in that.
Well, look, I had to pull out my Swiss Army knife because it's relevant to what you're saying. And here it is. And you probably are the Swiss Army knife of skills, right? Because it's not one skill. This serves multi-purposes, right? I think it's a good example to say there are multiple skills that make up a holistic person in an organization, right? Is that a fair assessment that I pulled out my Swiss Army knife to demonstrate this?
I love it. We're the Swiss Army knife of learning.
Oh, that's fantastic. Dr. Alexia Cox, the Chief Learning Officer at MasterStart, thank you very much for joining us and explaining the fascinating work that you guys are doing at MasterStart. Appreciate your time, and thanks for joining us on What's Next.
Thank you so much for having me.